simple life. It doesn't have much. It doesn't worry him where you're going. Yeah, 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 nowhere.
Okay, so this is a fairly dirty Ku Hsing 16-inch oscillating table fan that I also got at Value Village a couple years ago. The oscillator is busted on it, and it's been sitting out in my shop, so it's dusty. Very dusty, so I gotta clean it up, but, you know, this thing is kinda... It's good. It's not great. It's definitely one of the last decent fans that was made. I think it's from 2000 and... Maybe it's from 1992. This is 9201. Maybe the 92nd day of 2001, which sounds more appropriate. I know a couple people that have these fans. They were sold at Kmart for a little bit, and they're decent, unbranded, but it's made by Ku Hsing. The oscillator was busted when I got it, and I ended up fixing it with a screw. The little shaft that comes out of the oscillator that turns the plastic gear, that turns the arm to move it back and forth, it was sheared off. So I made a plastic sleeve, or I took a hole, the shaft was hollow, so I took a piece of steel brake line, of all things, and wedged it up there and glued it in place, and it fits in pretty well snug, and I put a little glue, like crazy glue I think, on it to kind of hold it in place a little better, and I put a screw into it, a self-tapping sheet metal screw into it, and it held. It was almost 2 years ago, and it still works. I haven't used it a whole lot. It's filthy. It is all dust just from sitting out in the shop. As you can see, it's pretty dusty, but I don't use it a lot. It's not very powerful. The blade is a little warped. See, the leading edge is a little bit in, just a tiny bit. And I did try and heat them and straighten them out, and it did take a little bit, but whatever. I don't know if the oscillation is still going to work, but I disengaged it and it's not moving back and forth, and when it's disengaged it does move, so I'm going to say it probably is still holding. This one, the bearings are a bit worn out, so yeah, I think if I remember correctly, this one makes some horrible noises at times. Here's low, even though it's well oiled. Moves a decent amount of air. Oh yeah. Medium. It doesn't, it's nothing compared to an old Galaxy, but it certainly throws some air around. It's fairly quiet. High. It rattles a bit. See, the blades are like all the blades are all over the place. And it is kind of off balance, but it's really not that off balance considering how ridiculously uneven the blades are. But you know, I like this fan. I've always liked these. I'd say the blades warped from age, but generally, I've noticed the blades just warp. They're warped when they're first made, and unless it's been in high, extreme temperatures with, things pressing on the blades, they generally don't seem to warp too much. Especially not like this. I think it just wasn't made right to start with, because this was at the end of the Ku Hsing. I don't know if I called it Ku Hsing. It's Ku Hsing. Ku Hsing is the other Taiwanese company that I like, but I think this is just the end of them. They just didn't really care. It definitely runs well. It's definitely an 80s design fan that they just put changed the blade design a bit, and instead of painting the center badge, chrome, they just left it white. The bearings are plenty free in it. They're just kind of worn, probably from this off-balance blade. It's pretty dirty. I gotta clean it up, but is what it is. I don't know if this one has a startup sound. but I feel like it might. One thing I do like about these Taiwanese fans is the see, there's a plastic sleeve in the blade, which is nice. That's a Delrin sleeve. That's harder plastic, or it's probably Delrin. It might not be Delrin, but it's something similar. And it's a lot, you know, harder than the soft plastic the blades are made out of. So there is that. So it's not going to be as likely to break or strip out. I'll get a startup sound for what it's worth. I don't know what it sounds like. I don't remember. I also had to zip tie the oscillator knob. It's got a zip tie around it because the clip broke. That holds fairly well. The tilt adjustment's a little loose. This thing kind of beat. But it was $3, so I'm not going to complain. Come on, focus. Focus, there we go. It has an interesting blade shape. Anyway, so that's really it for this one. Like I said, this is just a Taiwanese fan. It might be made in China, I don't remember. But Ku Hsing was a Taiwanese company, so anyway, thanks for watching.
Happy the man. He leads a simple life. It doesn't have much. It doesn't worry him where you're going.